XRP Ripple, what will the price of this crypto be in the year 2030? Guys, we're going to be talking about that question in today's very, very important update for XRP. So at the moment, look, XRP has been trading around $2 or so. And I want to talk to you guys about the year 2030, which is about 5 years away. So it's definitely a long-term hold. And we'll talk to Grok as well. So Grok's actually come up with this analysis. We'll talk through some factors. And we'll talk about the realism of these different prices as well. So what needs to happen for these prices to get hit? What is the variety of factors? What's realistic? What's unrealistic? We're going to break it all down in today's video. And I thought I'd also answer this question. So we had one question in the comments of last video, and it has to do with the USDC Ripple deal. And someone's asked this question about how would XRP Ripple pay the $20 billion if they're going to do the USDC deal. So we have seen talk about a $5 billion deal that got rejected by Circle, but then we heard rumors about 20 billion. How does it actually happen, guys? I'll give you my insight into that as well, whether that can happen or not. $20 billion, how does it play out? So if you guys enjoy it, just like the video. If you want to see more XRP content, subscribe as well. And guys, let's get straight into it. So right now, $2 XRP, roughly speaking, year 2030, that's about 5 years away. And we have this really good analysis actually by Grok. So let's talk through this. Now let's talk through some of the big factors. So predicting XRP's value by 2030. Now these are going to be the most important factors for these price predictions to become true. So this is the stuff we've spoken about on the channel, but let's just go through it, because remember in crypto, if you want to get to a price, right, you want to get to, like, you know, say $100 XRP or $200 or $500, whatever it is, $50. You need to see some things happen. It doesn't happen out of magical thin air. So yes, you can get speculation. Yes, you can get hype. But if it's a utility crypto, you want to see some really big market cap moves, you have to get that adoption. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about right now. So first of all, utility in cross-border payments and CBDCs. So Ripple really needs to, you know, dominate this sector. So it needs to have these partnerships with central banks. This could significantly increase the demand for XRP as it becomes integral for global CBDC settlement systems. So Ripple is already working on 20 countries on CBDC projects, and it's already used by 1,000 financial institutions. However, what we do need to see for, you know, some really bullish price scenarios for XRP Ripple is we do need to see this actually become a reality, get that adoption going. Another important thing for XRP Ripple, factor number 2, guys, market adoption and institutional backing. So we need to see major partnerships with big banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, you know, maybe Goldman Sachs. And we also need to see market adoption of RLUSD. And maybe it could be adoption of USDC as well. So we'll talk about the USDC question at the end of the video. But again, more adoption, the better right here for Ripple. Regulatory environment. So one thing we do have that is going in our favor right now is we do have Trump in power. Trump's actually a big fan of crypto. He's doing a lot of green lighting of crypto. He's launched his own meme coin. He's not going to be as tough as Gary Gensler was previously. I think the US market right now is perfect for crypto. We've actually got a huge green light. So right now is a great time for crypto adoption. So there really isn't that much hurdles, and it's really about deal making, Brad Garlinghouse. So I think that factor is actually working very much in our favor right now. Market dynamics and competition as well. So of course, you know, Ripple will face competition. XRP will face competition. There's competition with USDT. There's competition with USDC. There's going to be, you know, competition with other blockchains as well. So this is more of a risk factor. So if Ripple can outcompete the competition, again, that's going to be more and more bullish right here for us. And speculative sentiment and market hype. So yes, this does play a big role. We have seen some big numbers float around on X, but you know, Grok is saying, you know, these are lacking in fundamentals. So some people are talking about $35,000 per XRP. Others are talking about $122,000 by 2030. But again, you need to see some more fundamentals behind this. And, you know, what we are seeing right here is a range of different price scenarios basically for XRP Ripple. So they're saying conservatively, you're looking at $4.67 to $12. So that would be about a 6x on that scale right here from where we are right now for a conservative, you know, price move for XRP. Bullish scenario, guys, you know, $50 XRP. So that's going to be about a 25x if we're going to get to that. So this is going to assume XRP becomes a core bridge currency for CBD settlements. It partners with major central banks, so Federal Reserve, ECB, Bank of Japan. And with this scenario as well, XRP Ripple would need to have a significant share of the CBDC market. And the most exciting extreme bullish scenarios, guys, coming out of Grok right here on this combined analysis is they're talking about $100 to $500 XRP price right now. So we're talking about, you know, $500 estimate for XRP. They're actually saying 2050 here, not 2030. And this could only occur in extreme market conditions such as XRP dominating a tokenized asset market worth quadrillions. And such prices would require a market cap of 5.6 trillion to 28 trillion, far exceeding global financial markets today. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, we've got some other really big bullish, you know, price numbers here. So $35,000, $122,000 right here. That's unrealistic. And they're also saying, you know, there could be a bearish scenario. So look, this is the high reward, high risk area of crypto, and that could be between 13 cents to $2.71. And that's based on failure. So remember what happens in crypto. So for XRP to get to these really big prices, say $500, $300, $200, you need to get that adoption. You need to get those partnerships, right, with the central banks. Like the crypto actually needs to get utilized by the financial system. We're already seeing, you know, bits of that happening for XRP. So I think we're on a bullish pathway right now. Like the groundwork is looking good, but I still think there's more work to be done, of course. And you know, if that happens, that's where you're going to get the big upside. And of course, you know, if it doesn't happen, you just have to be aware of the risk in the crypto market. So as always, look, any type of crypto you're going in for, Bitcoin, XRP, it doesn't matter. You know, there is always going to be a risky scenario. So you have to remember in crypto, high reward, high risk. I hope the bearish scenario doesn't happen for XRP, but they're just putting it out there in case it does. And that's basically based off competition, regulatory crackdown, technological obsolescence, you know, and not getting that adoption that we're talking about right here. So there is a lot of stuff right here for XRP. And I have to say, different scenarios, different factors weighing in, but I would sum it up. Look, if you want to see the crazy numbers, you know, $100, $200, $300, $500 XRP by the year 2030, it's going to come down to adoption, the most important factor for adoption right now. This guy right here, Brad Garlinghouse, what he needs to do is he needs to be talking to central banks right now. He needs to be partnering with them right now. He needs to, you know, get these deals together because he needs to be demonstrating the technology of XRP Ripple to these banks, and they have to be interested in it too. So, you know, that's the big stuff. That is the huge play for XRP. It's going to be a Brad Garlinghouse CEO play for Ripple. And this is the important stuff. So, you know, the ETF, you know, I've seen ETF get pushed right here, which is interesting, but it's not really pushing, you know, the utility. So it's increasing the accessibility of the crypto, but it's not actually increasing the utility. What increases the utility and the adoption is getting the central banks to utilize the crypto, the technology, the platform. That's the big picture play. That's the stuff that you know, if you want to see XRP go to the moon, that's what's going to need to happen. And then, of course, I've also want to talk about this question. So we had a good question in yesterday's video. Guys, remember, lots of scam comments in the comment section below. These just crop up. They're all fake. If you see these little codes, just ignore them, guys. They're completely fake. So let's give some shout outs in today's video. Young Pistachio says XRP looking more and more like a great long-term play. So shout out to you today, 100%. So if XRP gets this adoption, we're going to be in a very, very good spot. And where's this question? I've just missed it again. So just asking, how are they going to pay for it? If they get $20 billion deal, they would need to sell some assets, and the main asset they hold is XRP. So how would this be good for the price? And the ownership of the new asset, USDC, would be under Ripple Labs, and none to little value creation for the XRP holdings. Just asking. So there's a couple of questions in there, but what I'll say right here is we don't actually know how much money Ripple has. So I actually tried to search for this to try and answer your question right here. But we do know they have $5 billion. So they put in a bid for $5 billion. And the question is, they might already have 20 billion. They might have 30 billion. They might have 40 billion. We don't actually know, because one thing with XRP, Brad Garlinghouse, this guy doesn't share with the public what's in the financial statements of XRP Ripple. So remember, look, if you're investing into a stock, for example, you know, and I've just put out like a list right here from Market Insider. So if you're in the US and you're investing into one of these companies, these are big companies in the US, AMD, Amazon, you know, Adobe, Airbnb, Apple, etc. One thing you can do with every single one of these companies is you can actually go into the financial statements. And if we actually just bring up Adobe's financial report, annual report, you go down to the section of the balance sheet, you can actually see right here how much cash the company had at the year November 2024. So you can see right here, they got 7613. So that's not $7,000. That's 7,000 million. So that's $7 billion in terms of cash. Okay, so that's how much money they have. Problem with XRP Ripple is it's a private company, right? So I've actually asked Grok. They don't actually tell you how much money they have. So again, you know, Brad Garlinghouse, if he really wanted to be transparent and he really wanted to, you know, get XRP holders on board, he could tell you. He could publish these. So even though it's a private company, he could just tell you how much money he's got, like how much money XRP Ripple, the company, has. Because at the moment, if it's a private company, they don't need to publish this information. It's only when it becomes a public company you need to publish information. So we have also heard talks about Ripple becoming a public company at some stage in the future. That would open up everything. So you would figure out, you know, how does Ripple make money? How much money does Ripple have in its balance sheet? How much money do they have to buy up USDC as a company? And what I will say though for you know, XRP Ripple is, you know, with that question, so potentially there could be a scenario where they don't have to sell any XRP, the token. They might already have the cash, but we'll have to find out. And then also, you know, with USDC, you know, there could also be a rebrand option. So you could have all the USDC, but they could just rebrand it to LUSDC. So USDC no longer exists and you just brand it all to one thing. There could be a lot of different things. And but the truth is, it does come down to adoption. It does come down to, you know, making money and somehow flowing that money back into token holders in some way or another. And that's the way utility works in crypto. So look, in crypto, to break it down simply for you guys, you're buying a right to the ecosystem of the crypto, right? So you're buying a right to the ecosystem of the cryptocurrency. So you have that right to move XRP token around, utilize that. And what you're really relying on this right becoming more expensive in the future. So if we're saying, you know, Ripple's going to go to $500, what we're saying in the future is, you know, in the future, the Federal Reserve or someone else has to come in and buy our crypto off us at some higher price, $500, and they're going to utilize this right, this asset in the ecosystem to get some type of benefit. So that's the way crypto works. When you're investing into a company, you know, you get like a share or a stock or whatever you want to call it, and then you actually get a right to the profits, right? So you get actually like a share of the company, a right to the assets, a right to the profits. And, you know, then if XRP makes, you know, if Ripple makes like, you know, $1 billion in profits as a shareholder, you get a fraction of that $1 billion paid out as a dividend. So it's a little bit different, but you know, it's definitely interesting. Crypto and stocks are way different. Stocks, again, you get all that transparency, you get to see what's inside the company. Crypto, you don't really get to see it, especially if it's private. So it's a private company. That's exactly what Grok is telling us. You know, Ripple Labs is a private company, so its financial statements are not public. And you know, that's very important to understand for XRP. But I would say, look, to sum it up, you know, if XRP Ripple can buy up USDC, I think that would be very good. And look, to get to these really big price predictions for XRP, you're going to need to see, you know, that adoption. So it really has to partner up with the banks, and the banks need to come in and say, look, we want to buy up the ecosystem tokens, utilize the ecosystem. That's the way crypto works, really. And each crypto is going to have a different type of value proposition. So XRP is going to be way different to, say, Bitcoin. You know, the way Bitcoin works is the same way gold works. So it's a decentralized group of people around the world believing in this as an alternative to the US dollar, as a safe haven asset. Same way gold is working. So if you know gold's going to the moon. And people are not sure about governments these days. They're not sure about these global conflicts. They're not sure about government spending. You know, it's a risk. And they're all saying, look, I trust gold more than I do the government that prints out an infinite amount of US dollars. And that's why the gold price is going up. And you know, in this game of, you know, making money, creating wealth, you know, diversity can also be pretty good in the crypto market. But guys, that's a bit of a different update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do have more questions, you know, this is a smaller channel. We do have another big channel where we talk really high reward, high risk cryptos like Pepe, new meme coins and stuff like that. You can check that out. But for this channel, we're doing XRP. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. We'll see if I can answer some of your questions right here. And just remember to ignore the scammers. And if you have questions about XRP, just let me know. And also, if you want to get some nice bonuses, guys, sign up with BitchNix, sign up with Bluefin, sign up with BuyDeFi, do your trading there. And maybe we can sort out some special other benefits as well. But really nice bonuses with those crypto exchanges. If you want to support the channel, and we'll check out some more XRP news in the future. But guys, that's a really big update. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. XRP to the moon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Crypto Zeus signing out.